Sometimes there's tragedies in life, and we try to go on. We try to move on with our own life in spite of them. And this is very real to some people. My name is Gary Dean, and this is Eye Opener Society. And this is a really special episode. And there's going to be some mixed emotions. If everybody would just stick with me, I guarantee you I'm going to open up some things that might help pretty much everybody. But I've got to tell a little bit of a backstory. Most people already know that this church started way back when, Third Eye Meditation, a podcast, and then my stepdaughter Hannah came on, and we rebranded to what we are, Eye Opener Society, in 2022. And I always sat and try and find some podcasts to listen to myself. I always spoke about the Bell Witch podcast. I had Swells on my show, which was so beautiful for me because it was every Sunday morning, just like now. I turn on the Bell Witch podcast, sit back and listen and enjoy. I picked up so many others. Some of them are still not around, like the Jake and Josh show, but Josh is still around. He sometimes jumps on Twisted Tales with Chris Hertel. And it's nice to see Chris with Twisted Tales on, YouTube after his whole Spotify fallout. But good shows. There's Ouch, Was That a Ghost? The NDT podcast. Of course, Bell Witch podcast. And then I had Urban Lady Prepper, who's also still, I listen to all the time. She was on this show. She now has a book out. So it's great to see these shows that branched out or they just kind of stopped happening for whatever reason. It's a community, and much like us, a society, because we formed at one point with Josh from the Jake and Josh show, the Podluminati, and we just all got together as podcasters to help other podcasters out. And we try to give new podcasters some ideas, focus, direction, help with shout outs and all that. And it became kind of tight. I had the Matt and Monica podcast. I discovered them and I said, wow, they have something. And they did. They really became big. And then tragedy struck them. And I was so, I don't know, it bothered me because it's like, wow, I talked to them a lot and I was promoting them a lot. And, we had a couple conversations together and tragedy struck them where, Matt lost his children. God rest them, man. It was a real tragedy. And I was taken back by it. I was like, these are people I know, and you just don't expect that to happen. And obviously no one does. But they moved on. And I know it's still a true struggle for them. It has to be. I don't know them, but to be honest, there's actually something in the background that I never spoke about with them, based on that tragedy, because there was a few things I was really upset and I jumped into a lot of things, but that's maybe another podcast for another day. But one podcast, Just Us Thinking. I used to love listening to Just Us Thinking. I listened to them back when they were just doing more or less stories about their travels and all. And it was Rebecca and Michael and Mikey. They were family, husband, wife, son. The son did all of the background, like audio, visual stuff for them. In the early days, I remember listening. I said, "Wow, these are great people. These are kind of the people. They're the kind of people you would meet while you're out traveling. You'll probably sit down in a bar, have a beer with them and some burgers, and share some stories. They were just that type of people." Where you could feel good talking to them about things and just make a friend and talk. And they helped out to Pod Illuminati, of course. And Michael had contacted me once wanting some business advice. And I said, well, that was interesting because I didn't know what he really wanted me to do or what he knew I knew. But yeah, I'll help you out. And we had a really good conversation based on the direction where he was going with his podcast and all. And we had I think it was a good hour talk, and it was really great. And I helped him. And that was good. He thanked me so much because he see me as a neutral party to, you know, the thing he had going on, and he thought I can help. And that was a good feeling. I like it. And he was really cool. And then more recently, because he also, they had just us thinking, just us tasting, just us traveling. Then there was Echo Aura Productions that I promoted a couple times, where he had a whole nother series of podcasts, and he ran where he does merchandise and t-shirts, and he designed my shirt with the logo, the purple one you usually see me wearing on that. That came from Echo Aura Productions. Great, fantastic work. And it struck me weird because I think the last show I listened to was their last one in February. Uh, it was a Super Bowl, and I believe they were sitting there because they went from like a regular kind of talk show to a comedy show. Because Michael just had this way about him. It wasn't like comedy, like telling jokes, but it was just funny stuff that happens in life, their observations, the way they see it, just regular talk between the family and funny things. And it was always a good listen. So yeah, they were talking about, I believe, the commercials for Super Bowl and all. And a lot of their stuff came across my TikTok all the time, and like just one after the other. And it was always good to hear. So that was February, and nothing came across my TikTok feed, which I didn't seem strange because TikTok, when they changed owners, I know it changed the whole feed and what you're seeing. But I didn't see their show, so I was like, all right, well, after doing this so long, a lot of podcasters take breaks. Something happens in the back. Hey, I can't handle this anymore. And so, since February, I didn't hear anything, and I didn't really think much of it. But just recently, Rebecca reached out to me and told me that Michael passed away, and I was really, what really bothered me about that, I think, really is just the fact that I don't have my finger on the pulse as much with these other podcasts as like we used to when we were a group. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing because, like I said, we're all busy doing our own things. And I'm so wrapped up in the church and getting that started and working with Lizzie and trying to move forward. And you lose touch. And that was kind of, you know, the problem I had. And so when I heard that, not knowing because, I was like, wow, it really hit me. And I was like, wow, that's just, it's tragic. But here's where things are going to change because, now at Eye Opener Society is a church. I'm the minister and Lizzie's a minister. We're going to be touching on a lot of this stuff because you know what? Michael left behind some very beautiful people. And I'm not going to say that he left them behind because you know what? He didn't. He's still here. He's, energy. Regardless of what the family believes in. And this is not to, upset them or anything. It was great because my meditation, I remember Michael called me out on his couple of his episodes about meditation, poked a couple jabs at me, and it was so much fun. I That's why I really enjoyed the show, and it was like I said, there was a personal touch to that. But from what I believe and the way the church works, it's you don't have to follow everything that this church believes. You need to believe in yourself, and that's the most important thing. And one thing Rebecca had mentioned to me also was that how inspiring she found all of my, little shorts that I do on YouTube, TikTok, and, you know, I just do these things usually just off the top of my head. I got to come up with something, and I try to be as inspirational as I can. And it's just the goal, and it's never directed at anyone, but it's just general things that I talk about that I believe in, and I hope that they do inspire somebody. And when she told me that, I felt really, I was caught in between the tragedy and the focus of moving ahead. And my deepest sympathies go out to them, but you guys are not alone. And I will support you in any way. But the biggest thing that everyone, not just his family, his friends, his listeners, everybody, we're all going to go through something at some time because our physical bodies that we carry around, these vessels, they contain energy. And whatever you believe is what you believe, but energy cannot be created or destroyed if you want to get into the whole scientific side of it. But really, we're carrying around so much more. Our time on this earth is always short. We're here for purposes. We're here for reasons, no matter what it is, even if we are just doing a little comedy show. But Michael had a whole empire he was building. And I still believe it's going to go on. And I believe that his family's going to pick up where he left off and things are going to rise. At least I hope so. But no matter what they do, I know they're going to move ahead and I know they're going to continue to be strong. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a struggle. And this is what happens. This is the process. And at some point, we're going to realize the powerful impact all of us have on life, whether we're here or not. And this is where I want to build everybody up and let you know that no matter what, you have something special. Don't ever think you do not. Every little thing you do sets off an effect. And it goes out into the cosmos, it goes out into the universe. You could be doing something huge, or you could be doing something really small. Don't ever think it's insignificant and it doesn't mean anything. Michael did a lot. And I've only known him a very short time, and I didn't know him personally, and I don't know his whole background or anything. But what I did know of him, he left an impact. He left a show that I used to love to listen to. He left a bunch of other podcasts. And he left behind a memory that he had on me. The conversations I did have with him. They're going to stay with me. And because those memories are staying with me, that means Michael is still here. And he still means something to me. And this I feel about anybody that was lost in my life. They're still with me thanks to the memories. And we shouldn't always dwell, like I said, we shouldn't always worry about the past, but the past holds memories and it builds us to whom we are. And that's how we get to live, and that's how we keep moving forward. And when you're as close to somebody like the family, wife, children, it's going to be harder, but they're going to have the strongest memories. And that should be the motivation. I'm very happy that I can motivate and inspire. That means a lot. But it's never going to take the place of what Michael left behind, because that's so much stronger and so much more powerful than I will ever be. But if you, the audience, are going through tragedy, or you know somebody that's going through a loss, tragedy, whatever it may be, you might not know it, but you might be having an impact on somebody in a very inspirational way to help motivate them. Many of us don't know what to say. It's difficult. But if we sit back and think about it, or just us thinking, we're going to remember that memories are going to be strong and they're always going to be there. And as long as you're here, honor that. Honor the memory of those that are lost. My name's Gary Dean. This is Eye Opener Society, and I just want to say thank you to Just Us Thinking, and thank you to Michael for the inspiration that was placed on all of us. May you rest in peace.